Good afternoon, everybody.
Good
I,
afternoon.
Himanshu
Yes.
Gupta, on behalf of Lawyered and entire community, welcome you all to celebrate the 71st anniversary of the adoption of the Constitution of India. The Constitution Day of India is also known as Samvidhan Divas or National Law Day or National Constitution Day. Brief history about Constitution Day of India. 26 November has its own importance in the history of independent India because on this day, in 1949, the Constitution of India was adopted and it came into effect on 26 January 1950, therefore marking the dawn of a new era. To acknowledge the contribution of the framers of the Constitution and to aggravate the people regarding the prominent values, we celebrate this day today. The drafting committee of the Constituent Assembly, headed by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, started on 29th August 47 and finished their work on this day in 1949. And on 26th January 1950, the Constitution came into force and became the law of land. And let me take this privilege to mention the preamble of the Constitution of India. The Constitution of India declares India a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, assuring its citizens justice, equality, and liberty, and endeavors to promote fraternity. I welcome you all today to hear your thoughts on how our Constitution will aid in the growth in business and life in 2021 and beyond, keeping India in the mindset. Over to you, Sahil, to welcome all the guests.
थैंक यू सर। संविधान हमारी आन है, तिरंगा हमारी शान है, हिंदुस्तान हमारी जान है, हिंदुस्तान पर जान हमारी कुर्बान है। ये हम सबकी पहचान है, इसको शत शत प्रणाम है, क्योंकि ये हम सबका अभिमान है। जय हिंद। So with this, I would like to welcome our guests and speakers for the session on India 2021 and beyond, citizen rights and duties for growth in business and life. To celebrate the 71st Constitution Day, which is also known as Samvidhan Divas. The topic in itself gives us the gist of the discussion. With this, we have a very special guest and the chief guest, Justice Asok Kumar Ganguly, former judge, Supreme Court of India. Justice Ganguly is an Indian jurist. He served as the chairman of the West Bengal Human Rights Commission and as a judge of the Supreme Court of India, who delivered judgment in some high-profile cases like the 2G spectrum case. It will be less to put in words of what all he has contributed for the country and never failed to give the judgments which are now used as the precedents in many cases. I welcome you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Now we have, thank you, sir. Now we have Mahavir Pratap Sharma, Chairman, Thai Global Board of Trustees. The name itself speaks for him. Mahavir Sharma, a serial entrepreneur, is part of umpteen businesses and social organizations and exudes passion in idea and early stage angel investing, leadership, and mentoring. He is the current chairman of Thai Global Board of Trustees, a first Asian to achieve that position. He is also the chairman of TIE's new initiative for investing in idea and early stage startups across India, the TIE India Angel. And also, he's the chairman and co-founder of Rajasthan Angels and has been very active angel for early and idea stage companies for the last many years. A prolific speaker who has had honor of being the chairman of the Carpet Export Promotion Council CEPC under the aegis of the Ministry of Textiles Government of India, and the privilege in the past to have been on Thai Global Board for 7 years, during which he has chaired various committees and initiatives, including being the vice chair for the year 2019. In addition to being an active angel investor, he's also in the business of corporates, jewelry, marketing, and branding in a career spanning 30 plus years. Thank you, sir, for joining us with us on a very special occasion to celebrate the Constitution Day.
It's a pleasure to be part of this
Now,
one.
thank you, sir. So now we have a very, very special guest with us. Joyoshree Aroa, Indian film actress and TV veteran. The name needs no introduction. Joyoshree Arora is an Indian film stage and television actress and a trained dancer of Kathak and Manipuri dance. She has played supportive roles in numerous Bollywood films and Hindi soap operas. She has been acting in theatre since 9 years of age. She made her debut on TV with Hum Log in 1984. She has worked with legends like Shashi Kapoor, Shah Rukh Khan, and the list goes on. She has currently done a web series and a short film which has been touching heights in the industry. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining with us today.
Thank you. Pleasure indeed.
So now we have Megha Rahul Singh, General Counsel, ElasticRun. Megha, a techno-commercial corporate lawyer, having an experience of 14 years across various sectors with an LLB and bachelor degree in science from Mumbai University. A self-driven, self-motivated, and highly passionate professional with a practical hands-on approach to innovative problem solving. Experience in handling a plethora of cases with a significant experience in a contractual and commercial exploitation of intellectual property and commercial agreements. A legal brand strategist for some of the big conglomerates in the field of adoption, protection, and increasing visibility of brands. Render specialized services to Fortune 500 companies with regards to opinion relating to licensing and franchising, with a large conversion rate for successfully concluding matters relating to takeovers, acquisition, mergers, slum sales, and joint ventures. Thank you, Megha, for joining us, sir.
My pleasure, Sahil. Thank you.
I would like to welcome our another guest speaker for today, Sanjiv Dagar, Managing Counsel, LegaJoist. Sanjiv Dagar carries over 20 years of corporate legal experience, presently practice as a lawyer and insolvency professional. He has managed transactional, litigation, and corporate affairs. He has garnered exposure in working with manufacturing and service organizations and worked extensively on contract management, compliance, real estate, M&A, taxation, banking laws, and arbitration laws. In addition, planning of legal affairs, carrying out due diligence, labor matters, stamp laws for mortgage finance, Consumer Protection Act, and other civil protected cases of huge amount. Jointly with his team of professionals, he has spearheaded various high-level assignments in NCLT, High Courts, NGT or tribunals, and Supreme Court, even though the NCLT is not a recovery court, but under his guidance and leadership, clients have seen success in such matters. Thank you, sir, for joining with us today.
Thank you very much, sir.
Last but not the least, we have Himanshu Gupta, founder, lawyer. Mr. Himanshu Gupta is the leading entrepreneur in the legal tech industry who has been taking various initiatives to enable every citizen to have a legal advisor. His vision to make India a place where every individual and startup should become Atmanirbhar from their basic legal needs has catered around 1 lakh plus individuals and 50,000 plus startups to be legally empowered. He's not a lawyer, but a techie turned legal tech entrepreneur with 2 decades of experience in the legal industry with the leading organizations. He is also a mentor for various budding entrepreneurs and help them in enriching their knowledge and by broadening their avenues to solve the problem pertaining in the society. I welcome you, sir.
Thank you, Sahil. Thank you so much.
So now I would like to request our chief guest, Mr. Justice Ashok Kumar Ganguly, former Judge Supreme Court of India, to address the audience and bless them on the occasion. Justice Ganguly, sir.
Thank you very much. It's a very pleasant morning with so many persons coming from several fields. Now, and this is an important day, being Law Day, which is otherwise the day on which the Constitution has come into force. Now, the importance of this day, if I may just explain to you, in order to understand the importance of Constitution Day, you must understand or have a glimpse of the struggles and the endeavors which went before the Constitution could come into force. You must know, I'm sure all of you know, that our constitution is a direct result, the
Trial
direct
version.
outcome of our national struggle for independence. One of the main agenda in our national struggle for independence was to form a constitution by Indians for Indians, which was known as the dream for Swaraj. And in the words of Gandhiji, which he expressed in this the
Trial
journal, which he used to edit and used to run, Harijan, that Swaraj cannot be obtained as a
version.
free gift from the Britishers. It has to be secured by the best efforts of the best talents available in the country. And our constitution, which has a great emphasis on Swaraj,
Trial
Swaraj
version.
means self-discipline, self-independence, your right to realize your best
Trial
self
version.
is is the epitome or the cornerstone in the constitution.
Trial version.
If your attention is drawn to the constitution, the preamble is
Trial version.
something which is the crux of the constitution. If you look at the preamble, it has three distinct divisions. To my
Trial
mind, there are three distinct divisions in the preamble. And the first part of the preamble is a
trial
resolution. The resolution is to constitute India into a sovereign, democratic, secular, socialist republic. And the
trial
last portion is an adoption of this constitution on this day. And the middle portion, which contains the content of the constitution, is about giving the citizens of this country several rights,
version.
rights in the shape of liberty, equality, fraternity, dignity, liberty of thoughts, liberty
Trial
of belief, liberty of expression, liberty of faith, liberty of worship, equality of opportunity, equality of status, and on the
version.
top of everything, fraternity and assuring the dignity of the people as well as the unity and integrity of the nation. The framers thought, and rightly so, that the unity and integrity of the nation is coextensive with the dignity of the people. If dignity of the people is denuded, if you do not have give dignity to the people, you cannot have a united nation. These are concepts of nationhood. These are the concepts for which, these are the ideas for which we fought and we succeeded. And we gave unto ourselves this constitution. Nobody has thrust it on us. And you see, the main important thing is this, the opening words of the constitution, we the people. The constitution is not dedicated in the name of a great leader or in the name of God, but it is not dedicated in the name of anyone. The people have adopted this constitution. They were the people's right, the people's achievement. The peoples are the main dramatis personae in this theater of constitution and law. And this is the first time in the history, in the 5,000 years history of India, that India became a republic. Remember this. Prior to that, India had many a glorious past, many things for us to feel proud of. But
Trial version.
India became a republic for the first time on this day. Therefore, this is the importance of the day. This is my opening address to you. I hope I don't want to extend it further. Thank you very much for your patient hearing, patiently listening to me.
Trial version.
Thank you so much, sir. It was really an honor to have you and listening to you. So now I would like to request our guest of honor, Mahavir Pratap Sharma, to address the audience.
Thank you, Sahil, and thank you, sir, for great insights on the Constitution and something written for the people, by the people, and adding to our fundamental rights. I just wanted to extend this thought process in terms of businesses and entrepreneurship to make it more relevant. While we as citizens or individuals have
Version.
duties and rights towards the country, to the constitution, we as businesses or different pillars other than the executive, legislative, and the judiciary, as citizens also need to be responsible towards what has been created around it. And I
Try.
think there's a very thin line between um, having rights and having duties to deliver. So it's a very, very challenging situation of a country where we are on a threshold of secularism being questioned or challenged or looked at it from different points of views, from people having business trade relations between countries coming to fore because of border clashes and businesses not able to transact, technology making it so blurred where someone sitting in Shanghai can sell products in Kochi, in Kerala, and still there is no checks and measures. So I think we as a country, we as India, we as business people and entrepreneurship have to have more responsibility towards our country, towards our duties towards the countries, and our behavior when we conduct ourselves, from conducting business to abiding by the laws, be having responsible behavior. All that is very, very critical for the survival of the society at large, and that's where the constitution, I feel, should come in handy. I think the government can do whatever they can do, and it's a collective effort. It's a very challenging phase where things are, because of the pandemic, have suddenly come to fore, where we're all stretched for reinventing our businesses, reinventing our ideologies to a certain extent. And I think the
Version.
constitution has been amended many times, but it has to be adapted in the right time frame, because what was written um, in the 40s
Trial.
to constitutional changes up to 70s, 80s now need to drastically change. And I would, hopefully have this panel discussion happening where do we draw a line where we as citizens or business people have rights, we have democratic rights, we can approach the judiciary if we are
Version.
challenged by our adversaries or challenged by the government. If we are
Trial
challenged by
version.
government at large. We know the famous case of Vodafone going to arbitration in Singapore. I think the world and the laws and the responsibilities and taxation, judiciary duties, entrepreneurship has to merge together. And it's a very challenging effort for us to abide by the Constitution,
Version.
stand as responsible citizens, and yet deliver our promise of paying the taxes, contributing to the society for social impact initiatives. And that is
Trial
what
version.
I would like to understand more or have an outcome out of this session once all the panel spoken and coming to forth. I think
Trial version.
the responsibility of the Constitution, not only in creation of what you had addressed, sir, the responsibility of continuing to uphold the
Version.
balance between responsibility, rights, and duties continues to lie with us, and it should continue to evolve as the time goes. And I think that is what the youth today, or
Trial.
all of us, should discuss and deliver in the times to come. And I'd be happy to be in conversation and discuss business
Trial.
between the dilemma of policy, other aspects that don't work. So that's what I have to say. And thank you. And I would wait for the panel discussion later on.
Thank you so much, sir. And I'm sure the panel discussion will actually take out the points which are to be addressed critically and essentially for everyone who's watching this and
Trial.
seeing this particular session with us today. Thank you once again, sir. So now I would like to request our very special guest, Joyoshree Aroa ma'am, to address
version.
the audience.
Thank you so much. Well, I can talk about my field and the
Trial
educational field,
version.
of course. Certain things what happened after this pandemic. I mean, it was really terrible, and still it's
Trial
carrying on.
version.
As far as streaming is concerned, let me tell you, that's one way, and as far as we are concerned, that is the only
Trial version.
way, not permanent, I would say, because hopefully everything is going to be all right soon. But we as citizens, I personally
Trial
feel
version.
that as long as we follow the rules of the government, we keep ourselves safe, and the work we are doing, definitely
Trial
a
version.
webinar or at such conferences, I think will go ahead, keeping in mind that health of India
Trial
matters
version.
on each one of us. As far as streaming is concerned, yes, we are seeing, I mean, a lot
Trial
of things we
version.
are seeing, but as long as it is, according to our own sense and sensibilities, I suppose we
Trial
will forge
version.
ahead, keeping certain do's and don'ts in our mind. That's all I can say. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much. So now I would request Himanshu sir to please take over and start with the panel discussion. Thank you so much.
Trial version.
Thank you so much, Sahil, and we had a very good opening of the panel discussion. The topic of today is looking at how India is slated for growth in business and life 2021, not just 2021, but also beyond. So, keeping the Constitution of India in mind and the current COVID situation, my opening question is for Mr. Justice Ashok, sir. Recently, the Aurangabad bench of Bombay High Court said, while the government machinery is expected to take effective measures to deal with COVID-19 pandemic, citizens are also expected to remind themselves of their fundamental duties. So that's what we have also spoken briefly in our introduction session today. Regularly, we witness instances of social gathering and people not complying with COVID-19 regulations in spite of such strict instructions and regulations. So, sir, my question to you is, do you think it's time that certain fundamental duties are made legally enforceable? And if yes, what are the ways that you can suggest?
Well, no government measure can succeed without cooperation from the public. It is impossible. So therefore, you cannot blame an entire thing on the government for the decline in public health, because you are now going through a very trying situation. All over the world, this is happening. Therefore, whenever the government is coming forward with its measures, unless the people cooperate, in the say
Trial
for the purpose, say wearing a mask, keeping a distance, washing your hands, these are the basic fundamentals which
Trial
you
version.
must follow. I mean, no constitution is needed for this. These are the requirements which you must follow in
Trial
order
version.
to make the government measures effective. Without this, I mean, no governmental measure can be effective. There are areas where these were initially followed. Say, for instance, places like Kerala. But now, thereafter, after the Onam situation, the position in Kerala has worsened. Similarly, in West Bengal, I can say that during this Durga Puja and Deepavali days, the government has tried to implement very strictly the court's directive, and the people have cooperated. That is the reason why we have been able to keep the pandemic situation within a reasonably manageable control basis. There has not been a flare up as it has happened in other parts of the country.
Version.
So I'm not saying that the best situation is prevailing in Bengal, but there is some degree of cooperation coming up from the members of the public, some awareness. And therefore, I agree fully with your question that the duties which are enjoined under the Constitution, you cannot enforce them by police, by police surveillance. These should come. No duty can be made enforceable in that sense. You can enforce it through court, through administration. The duties which are there on us, the fundamental duties like maintaining a scientific temper, you're following the principles of the Constitution. These duties must be followed by the people on their own. On their own, there should be that kind of publicity, that kind of constant, appeal to the people to follow their own duties. It can't be just enforced. You cannot do it by a danda or by a police force. That will be counterproductive.
That's true.
It has to be enforced by people's willingness. For that, you must create the proper ambience and the proper atmosphere.
Version.
Right.
That is important.
Right. So yeah. Okay. So what your thought? I mean, what I can gather is it's rather than enforcing the fundamental duties, it is important to do large scale public announcements and ensuring that the people
Yes.
understand the responsibility of following these fundamental duties,
Yes.
especially in the COVID era.
Yes.
However, at the same time, we are seeing government actions happening. For example, recently I heard in Delhi government has imposed a fine of about 2,000 rupees on citizens who are found flouting the rules of not wearing mask in public. So my question to Mr. Sanjiv Dagar is, how meaningful or how helpful will these kinds of enforcement measures will be? Are these going to help in enforcing these fundamental duties, or these itself are flouting against the fundamental rights of the citizens?
Yeah, thanks, Himanshu. As Justice Ganguly said, that no rule can be enforced merely by the force of danda. It has to be a cooperative movement. It has to be a cooperation, in fact, from the public. And in case public does not follow, then the rule comes into the picture. The first and foremost thing is the awareness about the risk. When the awareness is created by the government, and government has given strict warnings at the same time that now enough has been done by us. Now it is the duty of the people to follow the law. I am quite sure that this duty must be strictly imposed by the law enforcement agencies, and it is not about the fine of 2,000 or 5,000 rupees. There has to be a strict mechanism. It has to be something more than that. But at the same time, we have seen that in some of the context, the authorities given to enforcement agencies are misused in the name of corruption and all. So we should make a system that there is no kind of lacuna involved in it, and it is not that it is only a monetary penalty. There has to be something more to it. It can be some kind of social service or something more than that. But I am still of the view that law enforcement must be there when public awareness has been created and people are voluntarily not following the law. So that is the situation.
Yeah, thank you, Sanjeev, for this point. And I really like the idea that instead of penalizing monetarily, I think promoting the citizens who are violating the law by making them forced to do some social service. So that's something that can definitely encourage everybody to ensure that by just paying the penalty, they can't just run away. Okay, my next question is, Joyoshree ma'am, do you want to say something on this?
What I want to say, as far as this wearing a mask and social distancing, believe me, I seldom, unless and until it's a must, I don't step out of the house. And not only mask, I also use that face shield. Believe me, I see people using the mask, but either it is the chin mask or on the lip.
Yeah.
The purpose of covering their nose, the sneeze, the droplets, which is going to not only make you unwell, if you're young enough to make you may be asymptomatic, but see the people around you, okay, they are not bothered. I mean, I know whenever I step out, I say, "Naak mein band karo."
Trial version.
Close your nose. And the way they look at me as if I'm chasing them with a danda. It is each individual. Government, we have to help the
Trial
government.
version.
And however, we talk about social service or anything, unless and until we individuals, we check ourselves, believe me,
Trial
this is what is
version.
going to happen. You must have seen social media I'm talking about this Diwali and Durga Puja. Delhi is, of course, Diwali.
Trial version.
Sadar Bazaar, Sarojini Nagar, each one is on the head of the other person. Without any mask, no social
Trial
distance.
version.
Now tell me, if we carry on like this, however much we may try to educate the people, where will we land ourselves
Trial version.
if we don't rectify our own habits?
Yeah, true. So that's very well said, ma'am. I think it's important since you're representing media, it's important for us to walk the talk. While we may be sitting at the comfort of our houses and maybe in our driving alone in the car, if we showcase that we are wearing the mask and ensuring that we are following the regulations laid down by the government, I think it's an important message to the citizens of the country as well, that they should follow the norms, irrespective of their caste, color, or creed, or their social structures.
Trial version.
Okay, so my next question is for Megha ma'am, and it's been a year since almost now COVID-19 virus was first discovered. And if you were to believe the news, the vaccine soon may hit the floors. Now that the situation seems to be inching closer to normalcy, to the pre-COVID era, what should be the government's priorities or step plan to kickstart the economy and help the most affected sectors?
Thank you, Himanshu. In my assessment, now that the vaccine is about to hit and we are about to come back to a normal, though the new normal in the business world has been adopted, and we have adjusted to a certain extent to the new normal by online operations, by working in backgrounds and initializing things, but we cannot we cannot discount the fact that the numerous lockdowns that have happened have definitely caused a setback in the market. Many companies, many small industries have been affected widely. There are situations where certain companies have actually been shut down. In this kind of situation, I strongly feel that the kind of economy that we have, there should be certain steps by which there should be infusion of certain debts or certain funds in the market, by which by which at least the small companies may have chances to revive back. I strongly feel that these lendings that happen, this infusion of funds that should happen in the market should happen at a very good interest rates, so that the people who have lost their things, they should be able to get back to the normal in the coming financial year or in the next year. I also feel that there are various sectors that have been affected. If we say the companies have affected, there is also a segment of workers, there are laborers, there are employees who have also lost their jobs. State governments should definitely pitch in somewhere, and there should be some state-run projects or certain initiatives that needs to be taken, by which even this class of people who have lost their jobs should be getting benefited out of out of these projects that are run by the government.
Rightfully said. Thank you so much for your viewpoints, Justice Ganguly. So, what are your thoughts on it? I mean, what should the government's priorities should be now that we are trying to get back to normalcy?
On the economic front?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, on the economic front, you see, it is not only the business which has suffered, as my previous speaker has rightly said. The workers, the laborers, the employees, everybody has suffered. Common people have suffered. The prices of essential commodities have gone up. there is hardly any control by the government. The no, common people is absolutely at the wit's end. I don't know what to do. At least government should try to do something to control the soaring prices of essential commodities. And so far as the persons who have absolutely are jobless, the government should try to, as has been said, as suggested by various economists, the government should try to put some funds in their hands so that they are in a position to purchase. If their purchasing power increases, then the economy will also have a boost. Because if their purchasing power is not increased, the market will never improve.
True.
And those who have suffered in their business activities, because in the sense small business houses, they should get some government incentives. The government at this time of crisis, should stand by the side of the jobless people, the small entrepreneurs, the small businessmen, in order to give a revival package. And the government must make a very serious effort to cut down on the soaring prices, because some hoarders and some, if I may say so, mindless people, I mean, who are out to profit out of at the cost of others' misery, they are doing it. This profiteering motive of hoarding, black marketing, that must stop. Even there is a black marketing on mask. There's a black marketing on the sanitizers. I don't know what will happen when the vaccine will come. The government must stop this attempt of black marketing, hoarding, cornering these essential things. It's a welfare state. So therefore, the government, and especially considering the message of the Constitution, the message of economic justice, the concept of justice in the Constitution also includes economic justice. So a common man has a right to get a slice of economic justice from the state. And it is only state which can deliver this economic justice. Therefore, the state has a duty. As you were saying about the duty of the common man, duty of citizen, the state has a duty, at least to arrest the soaring prices. Otherwise, things are going beyond control.
Yep. Truly said. I think that's very important that the government should now. I mean, I'm sure they must be doing some. The think tanks must be working on it, as we are expecting the vaccine to hit the floor. That there should not be any black marketing as far as COVID-19 pandemic is concerned, and every effort should be done to get the business class, the entrepreneurs, back to their own feet on their own, so that they can generate more employment. So keeping this view, my next question is for Mahavir sir, that is it the time to consider including some fundamental business rights also in the constitution?
It's a very challenging time, and I'm not trying to defend the government, but I'll just give you an example how I feel responsible behavior is key, and what ma'am said about masks and wearing masks. And I mean, there is a 25,000 rupee fine if the police comes to your wedding with more than 100 people. And in today's papers in Jaipur, there's news that people flouted that rule, that norm, and they just gave 25,000 rupees happily. And they were not equipped to reduce people from 150 or 200 to 100, because there were just two people trying to. So money sometimes is not enough a deterrent, because people are not responsible enough. So while I agree that we as entrepreneurs, there are duties and rights that we need to have, but I think the government is in a dilemma. While I totally agree with Justice Ganguly's assertion of controlling hoarding of stuffs, controlling pricing, that's absolutely within the government's preview and should be done. But I think what is needed critically is the fact that the government can only incentivize entrepreneurs, or incentivize hiring of skilled labor, which has migrated, as Megha said, for additional revenue or the additional work that gets created. So, for example, if I'm an entrepreneur and I'm hiring 100 people and I'm paying Provident Fund on behalf of those 100 people, the government has two options: reduce the Provident Fund and contribute it to the laborers' account, or say for everyone now that joins after these 100 people, or the additional Provident Fund that you pay, you will not have to contribute and the government of India will contribute. So what they're doing is they're subsidizing me as an employer or as an entrepreneur, and they're making sure employment gets generated locally because these people cannot go back to whatever cities that they come from. Similarly, tax incentives should not be that you reduce the taxation or whether income tax or GST or whatever, but anything incremental business that you do from last year, if there are no taxes beyond, let's say if your profit last year was 25 lakhs and this year you make 40 lakhs, so that incremental 15 lakhs will have a waiver. So what will happen is not only the government not have to come out with money which they don't have, they are struggling to pay states for their GST component and many other components and to have infrastructure and growth in place. I think this incentivizing growth is one thing that should work, whether it's on turnover, whether it's on employment, and all of us business people, and this will help compliance also for people who are not paying Provident Fund. If let's say I'm not paying any Provident Fund and I pay everyone by cash, I will now have 10 people working because Provident Fund is not an issue anymore, or I will have 50 people working. Similarly, if I'm not reporting increased income, now I don't have to worry because I can have more capital in my hands without paying taxes, and the government will then track my, this thing. So I think that kind of a measure is a win-win, where the government does not have to come up with subsidies or cash incentives, but also make all of us citizens, business people more responsible towards taxation, towards hiring more people, creating job opportunities. So I think it has to be a mix of all of that, and duties and rights. And I mean, of course, I have rights, and I agree with my predecessors saying that some law authorities do go beyond. So that is where my rights have to come in place, and I think government should be very strict with officers or government machineries that exploit the powers that are given to them. So I personally feel that it's a very, very tightrope walk for the government to do, but incentivizing on incremental growth and hiring, and also making sure that the government machinery is pulled if there is corruption or other sidelining of laws that the government creates. So it's a very tough decision, but it has to be done, in my opinion.
Fantastic. I think I really wish, Mahavir sir, that the government think tank is watching this and they get cues from your points. They are very, very helpful. I would like to extend the same question to Joyoshree ma'am. I mean, while Mahavir sir has given his viewpoint from entrepreneurs' perspective, how do you? I mean, what are your views from media's perspective? That is it time to consider including some fundamental business rights in the constitution, and how is it going to impact or benefit the media industry? I think, ma'am, you're on mute. We can't hear you.
How come?
Yeah, we can hear you now. We can hear you now.
As far as television and film is concerned, television work has already started, mind you. But again, depends upon individual, whether how much of work you are ready to take, whether the situation there, your sets and all, they are properly sanitized or not. Because government, as far as this media is concerned, not that again, I'm not backing or praising the government, but government comparatively, if you compare from other places, India definitely is in a better place. See our population. And if you compare the tragedy which struck us comparatively, definitely we are in a better foothold. But as far as work is concerned, I mean, I'll just give you an example. I am getting offers, but I'm not accepting for the simple reason that I am responsible for my welfare. How much I can expect government, government to help individually everyone. It is not possible. So we have to work is on. Those of you who are fit enough, you feel you are fit enough, and again, in that category of below 40, you can fight, your immunity is strong, you can fight any adverse situation, go right ahead. But again, I would say it is up to the individual whether you take up, carry on with your work, you go and go outside, step out of your house and carry on your work, or you would like to give 4, 5, 6 months more. Let the vaccine come out. But again, I mean, I personally feel that whenever a new vaccine has come out, there are bound to be some side effects, whether we like it or not. Definitely. There, because a new something you're pushing in your body, it will react. So for the time being, I personally feel government is doing, let's face it, doing enough for us. Enough. We individually, we also have some responsibility as a citizen towards our own self, towards our community, towards our state, towards our country. So that talmail, that thing is in balance. I'm sure in 2 months' time, if people are sensible enough to follow the rules stipulated by the government, we will improve. And individually, let's decide. I mean, we are enough to look after ourselves and the community. That's what I would say.
True. I agree with your viewpoint also, ma'am, that while we are still debating or we are still looking forward towards more inclusive implementation or more inclusive decisions by the governments to get the community, especially the business community, out of this pandemic situation. But it is individual responsibility also to ensure that we take ourselves out of this situation more. Extending this question, my next question is from Mr. Sanjiv. So a flourishing economy benefits the whole nation for sure. So simultaneously, an individual's rights are very important in the eyes of Constitution. Now, how does the court determine which one to favor if the economic interests of the country are pitted against individual rights? On one hand, we have economic interests, and on the other side, we have individual rights of a person. How does the court determine which one to favor?
Trial version.
Sanjiv, you're on mute.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, so what I'm saying, Himanshu, the basic thing is that one is the protection and second is growth. So first and foremost thing at this time is to protect ourselves. And when I say protect ourselves, it means we have to make sure that others do not disturb or do not cause harm to us in this pandemic situation. For that purpose, government has made law. Government is trying to enforce that thing, but to the largest extent possible, there has to be a mechanism that we remain protected. So it means we have to take care of ourselves. The others have also to take care of themselves, and the person who is not taking care of, then we have to have a whistleblower policy that we have the right to raise concerns. Second is growth is utmost important for any economy. We cannot afford to have a situation wherein there is a complete lockdown and it continues for n number of days. Now coming back to your question, which one has to be protected, the human life or the business rights? Human rights are, without saying, are the utmost important. The business can grow, business can wait to grow, but human life is very important. At the same time, human rights are equally important. So in our constitution is, to my understanding, although I am still learning and I am still a law student, and today I am glad to have Justice Ganguly to give us lecture on constitution. So, but to my mind, this constitution is the finest constitution in the world. It is futuristic. the day it was incorporated, it was written. That time the legislators have foreseen this situation, that come what may it be Data Privacy Act, may it be telecom related law, may it be anything relating to insolvency bankruptcy code, anything, it has to pass through the test of the constitution. So the constitution provides right to individuals, and the individuals' right are the most important rights. Business rights are equally important, but in the queue they will come as a number.
Okay. Yes, I mean that's a very valid point. So you rightfully said growth is pitted against individual protection, and how the court's priority should be towards balancing the two and ensuring the constitutional, which is the best constitution in the world, is I mean the honor of the constitution is kept intact. Mr. Ganguly, do you have any additional words? What Sanjiv has said on this particular point? We can't hear you, sir. So you can hear us? We are not able to hear you. Rishwin? There seems to be some technical glitch, I think. Sir, you are on mute. I think you just need to unmute yourself.
Is it now? Are you hearing me?
Yes. Yes, we can hear you.
Now the question is, you must consider one thing. The time when the constitution was enacted and the present time through which we are passing the testing time, the situation has vastly changed. But the constitution is the same. Therefore, the constitution has to be properly interpreted by court. This is done by court. And you have asked a very valid question. What about individual right as against the community interest or business interest of the community? You see, a balance has to be struck. And in order to strike this balance, the government is making laws. Say, for instance, if I want to carry on business, you're saying the fundamental business right, it is already there under Article 19(1)(g). One has a fundamental right to carry on business, but that is subject to law. I cannot say that I shall carry on business, I shall not pay income tax, I shall not pay provident fund. I have to carry on business subject to this. This is the area of social control by the government. But if the government makes an excessive demand on your income by enhancing the rate of income tax or things like that, it is for the court to strike to again modify this. Therefore, there is a three-tier system. First, the constitution protects the right of both. But in order to give that protection, the government makes a law. That is the second tier. The constitution empowers the government to make a law, to control individual rights. And then when the government makes a law, if that law is excessively curtailing individual rights, then people go to court. Say, for instance, the right to freedom of speech and expression. But in exercising that right, you have to follow certain norms. Therefore, when you exceed the norms, when the government exceeds the norm, we go to court for clarifying things. When an individual exceeds the norm, he is taken into custody and he goes to court, whether he gets bail or he gets a reprieve, that is decided by court. Ultimately, it is the court which is the balancing factor in these conflicting interests which is at play, and which interests do not remain static. You see, when the constitution was made, these questions were not relevant. The questions which are relevant today were not known then. The right to carry on business, today the business has become global. Today the nature of business right is different from the nature of business right which was there when the constitution was made. But that is not the quest that we cannot throw the constitution overboard. The constitution, as has been rightly said, is futuristic, is elastic. That has to be properly interpreted. That is the job of the judges. That is why people have so much of faith in the judiciary. When a crisis takes place, as a previous speaker said, that if I make an additional profit, what shall be the rate of taxation? If there is a surplus income which I grow, which I generate despite this pandemic situation, what will be the rate of government tax? What will be the rate of provident fund? These are subject to law. There are several laws, and if anybody finds that law is excessive, law is creating a hardship, then one goes to court, and court strikes the balance. That therefore there is enormous power in the hands of court to regulate our life. Today you cannot think of any part of our life which is not regulated by court. Think of any situation which is even how crackers will be burst during this Diwali is controlled by court. Whether a particular temple will be opened or not on a particular day is controlled by court. So therefore, court has a very vital role to play that we hardly understand. Therefore, it is very important to maintain the independence of the judiciary. The judiciary must function independently of these pressures and pulls from here and there. That is very, very important. That is why court should be pragmatic, court should be wise, court should be liberal, and court should strike a balance. And there is already a business right under the Constitution. You ask a question whether there is a business. There is already a business right under Article 19(1)(g) is a fundamental right. You have a right to carry on. Everyone has a right to carry on business. Every citizen, under the law, accordance with law. And whether it is accordance with law or not to be decided by court. Law is there, your fundamental right is there, but whether you're following the law, whether you're contravening the law, that is to be decided by court. This is the important, very, very complex
that's
situation.
rightfully said, sir. I think you're rightfully saying that it will depend upon cases where the economic interests are pitted against individuals. The court and the judge is going to decide in the best interest of the Constitution which one should be favored. Yeah. There is no hardcore formula for it. However, we may want to.
The situation is constantly changing.
My next question is for Megha ma'am. How do businesses impact human rights, and what can the courts do to balance these two things? So, businesses impacting human rights. What are your views on it?
It's correct that in this situation, in this unforeseen, uncontrolled situation that the entire world faced right now. I remember when the situations happened and the lockdowns started. Businesses were rampantly affected. There was this massive shutdown. There was no movements of people, and there were no resources. There were no funds also available with the companies, and small companies technically had to shut down their operations, shut down their offices, shut down their factories, especially those who were not in the essential commodities businesses. Essential commodities businesses still was able to survive, sustain to some extent, but the non-essential business part and the service industries were badly impacted and shattered. It was a very uncontrolled situation where because the business was being affected, despite of putting whatever the reserve surpluses or the reserve funds were there, companies were not able to operate, and it definitely impacted the human rights. It definitely impacted the lower strata of the society. The migrant laborers, the labor class was also one who was affected into it. and I think there was lots of efforts that was also taken up by the government at that particular point of time by issuing various notifications. Uh, we all understood it very well that the notifications were also quite holistic. Some of them may have not been are disputed still in the court of law. Is a separate question to be dealt to, because at that point of time the need of society was to protect the lower strata, so that so that the people do not have to fight for the basic needs like food and all those things. But at the same time there was also another angle to it, wherein even the business houses were impacted. So though there were certain ambiguous notifications that were being issued, when the court was approached for those notifications, there was definitely a rational view that was being taken. There were multiple points that were being put forward and also considered. Considered by the honorable courts, and it is really appreciable that unlike any other country, even in India, the way the complete scenario was being handled holistically by striking a correct balance between two different stratas of the society was really commendable. And I hope that even going forward, if the rationality is proven and if the rational points are put forward, the rational decisions will be arrived upon. And as sir has rightly said that there is this whole faith in the judicial system, and the way this has been taken forward during this pandemic, we have definitely seen that the holistic balance has been struck by the courts as well.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I think we are having a quite good discussions with this. I would like to put forth one last question for this panel discussion, and I would like each one of you to provide your opinion. So we have witnessed the changes in the economy and the demands of traders and business persons across 3 decades. If you look at starting 1991, when the Industrial Revolution started in India, till now 2021 is now approaching almost 3 decades. So what do the next 3 decades look like in the light of current situation? So Mr. Mahavir, sir, if you may have to give your opinion on it, how are the next 3 decades slated, looking at the last 3 decades of growth so far?
Last one to answer that question, but that's okay. I'll be the first one to, because so I'll tell you, the next 3 decades will be nothing like the last 3 decades. The change in technology, the change in how we conduct business, the change in how we are citizens of one country and we travel between two countries, the mode of conducting business, the regulatory laws of finance, banking, trading, products and services that exist will change in the next 10 years. I think 30 years, no one can predict. I mean, I remember in 1960s or 70s, book came out called 1984, predicting what 1980. I mean, now in the next 10 years, you will see technology will change everything. I think there will be products that will cease to exist. There will be new things that will come. How we conduct business, how we live our lives, everything is about to be disrupted at a mega scale. I mean, you're already seeing that. Blockchain. I mean, I don't want to go deeper into technology because this is more a non-tech session, but I'll tell you, in the next 10 years, 2030, the world will be an absolutely different world. We all will cease to be controlled by just the laws of one area, one land. Technology will change everything, and I think the next 10 years will be different from what the entire lifespan of all our lifespan is. I think it's a very, very disruptive world that we're moving towards, and how we are going to be conducting ourselves going forward.
Rightfully said, technology is definitely going to aid the way our next 3 decades are concerned. And extending the same question to Megha ma'am, from the corporate's perspective, how do you think the next 3 decades look like in the light of current situation? How 3 decades growth we have already witnessed, and how the next 3 decades are going to be?
Yeah, absolutely correct. As rightly put forward by Mr. Sharma, the technology is disruptive, and whole bunch of things has changed now. Right from your work culture, right from the transparency, right from right from inclusion of artificial intelligence in our day-to-day activities. The online mode of businesses has gone forward. Right from your right from saving on your travel time to expansion of your working hours, say like everything, like culturally, operationally, technologically, everything has going to have is going to have a very different outlook hereafter. As it is rightly said that adversity breeds to necessity. The problems that we faced, the challenges that we faced in last few months, owing to an uncontrollable or unforeseen situation, we have also come up with so many innovative products, so many innovative ways of conducting business, from brick mortar model to the online model, which has rampantly grown. And this months of lockdown has seen a huge growth in the online business models. And not only the urban population, but also the rural part of India is now adapted and has now adapted themselves to the online technologies. It's going to be a very different. It's
Very
nowhere
different.
going to be similar to what we had in past. So everything is changing, and all the business houses are also now gearing up to have risk management policies in place to adapt to such kind of situations, so as to adapt the business modalities and participate in the growth of themselves as well as the nation.
True. That's a very valid viewpoint from the corporate perspective. So extending the same question to Joyoshree ma'am, from the media and entertainment perspective, from the television industry perspective, how do you see the growth is going to be in the economy and the demands of traders and business persons, seeing the last 3 decades to the next 3 decades?
See, actually, if you see sudden change, I hope you all can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Trial version.
10 years, I think that 15 years, the change has been tremendous technologically. And now with this coming of
Trial version.
OTT, things are changing like anything. Hopefully, it will improve further. People will get more work. And
Trial version.
it is going to be, as let's go back to Lamarck and Darwin, it will be survival of the fittest. That is what it will be.
Trial version.
With so
Very
many
right.
things.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your views on how we are slated. So it's quite encouraging to see from court's perspective, if I may ask Justice Ganguly. So how do you think the next? I mean, while the millennials have no clue about the growth in the last 3 decades, but they will be prime contributors in the growth in the coming 3 decades. What are your viewpoints in terms of how next 3 decades are slated, especially for India?
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me? Now the question is,
Yes.
some of the speakers have said that it is going to be a disruptive technology. I would rather say I'm an optimist. It will be a cohesive technology. It will bring the world together for the benefit of every one of us. There can't be a sectarian view of situation. It can't be that one part of the globe is making progress and the other part is being neglected. If you have to have a sustainable growth, it has to be an inclusive growth. Without an inclusive growth, no growth can be sustainable. No development can be far-reaching. So I would rather say the development of the technology will certainly change the ways and manner in which business is conducted today. It is bound to change. It is already changing. But the process of change will be hastened. It will be quickened. But in that process, an attempt should be to include everybody. Because, say, for instance, there are various handicrafts, small scale industries in our country. You cannot just leave them out of your project of development. They can be brought in, and if they're brought in and they're properly, if I may say so, properly nourished and properly incentivized, then this will boost our economy. This will completely make India a throbbing economy in the whole world. We have many things to offer to the world which other part of the world do not have. So if these things are brought within the map of technology, even these things can be improved with the help of technology. You see, we have enormous resources, enormous wealth. So far as our small-scale industries or handicrafts are concerned, which the world does not know, even in the field of medicine. So these things should be, what I'm saying is that our approach should be an inclusive growth, and it should be cohesive. It should be a cohesive display of technology. We should not leave these things behind.
Of course.
You see what Gandhiji said, what is said by our constitution, that is his vision has been reflected in our constitution. It talks of an inclusive growth. There are many things in many fauna and flora in our country. Say, for instance, I'll give you one example. India has a huge coastline. And just one example, huge coastline. And the coastline is extremely fertile. If you properly utilize the coastline, there can be very rich growth of good fruits and vegetables, which can feed not only India but rest of the world. Food is a vital part of technology, vital part of industry. If these things are utilized, think of our coastline where the richest deposit of mineral is there. This is not being exploited by the government. If these can be exploited properly and properly safeguarded, we can not only feed India, but we can feed a part of the world. So these things have to be kept in mind. Say, for instance, in India is extremely blessed with solar energy. The solar energy has to be properly utilized. In the days to come, we may not depend on fuel and on petrol or diesel. So these are the areas. I am not a scientist, but I am a visionary. I can say the scientists can explore these things. So it is not going to be a disruptive technology. It is going to be a cohesive technology for the better world, for better days. This pandemic will go. It cannot remain forever. It will go another 4-5 months. It is bound to go. This pandemic cannot rule us forever. But this has given us a lesson. This has given us a lesson which you must learn. Now, I am taking your leave. I am an elderly man. My time for lunch is there. May I take the leave of all of you? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for your points. I think that's another term that I have learned today is cohesive technological growth, which I think we are all looking towards.
Inclusive growth.
Inclusive growth, cohesive and inclusive growth. And yes, that's going to be the stepping stone for the growth in the next 3 decades. And extending the same question to Mr. Sanjiv now, how do you see that the next 3 decades look like in the current situation? If you may want to keep the legal sector in mind, what are your opinions?
I tell you, Himanshu, India has seen many ups and downs in the last 3 decades, and so much of good things have happened. And this, the development will continue. In legal field, we have seen the license Raj, and now it is globalization. The globalization will continue further. Similarly, onto our legal system, we have seen harmonization. Earlier, we were having only local laws. Now, of late, we have started seeing that the laws are harmonized with the international laws and now the global laws. So this legal system will also see a lot of changes, and everything will be as per the global parameters. At the same time, everything will be for the good. The competitiveness will increase, but it will be it will be good for everyone. Like when the globalization was started, the need for Indian talent was recognized by the world, and it will continue further. Similarly, now, like we are on the VC today, we are forced to be on VC, but we will opt for the VC in the time to come, because the technology will be developed in such a manner that people would start liking it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for the concluding remarks, Sanjiv. I think with the interest of time, I think we had so much of discussion, right from discussing about how COVID pandemic is affecting the situation and how we are now slated to growth in the next 3 decades. With the interest of time, may I ask Rishwin and Sahil to share if there are any questions from the audience? Sahil? Okay, none. Fantastic. So with this, I would like to extend for the event today, our knowledge partner is Lovely Professional University, and accelerator partner is India Accelerator. And we have Mona Singh, co-founder India Accelerator, who would be giving the vote of thanks. Over to you, Mona.
Thank you, Himanshu. So firstly, congratulations everyone on the 71st Constitution Day. I would like to thank all the panelists for sharing their insights, and a special thanks to our special guest and the chief guest, Justice Asok Kumar Ganguly. So this Constitution Day is celebrated to promote constitution values among citizens and establishment of rule of law in the nation. Drawing a parallel in the startup ecosystem, because that's where I come from, there is a rule of law in this ecosystem as well, the legal processes and the compliances. A lot of big and funded companies, in our experience, have sometimes gone down because the founders did not have a rigor in these processes. And so, as an accelerator, this is big on our agenda. We always push our startups to take care of these best practices right from the beginning. And to ensure this critical set of practices are followed by the startup, we have exceptional platforms like Lawyered, who have a network of great lawyers who we regularly reach out to for the same. So I'd like to thank Himanshu Gupta for supporting us in building this entrepreneurial ecosystem and for giving us this opportunity to partner with them to celebrate this Constitution Day today. Thank you so much. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, all the speakers.
Thank you so much, guys, for a wonderful time, and look forward to connecting with each one of you as we proceed. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Version.